Welcome to another edition of Hames Hot Mic, sponsored by Simpson Notaries. After a short break, I'll be welcoming school board candidate and local business person Richard Procee to the show. Back right after this. Welcome back. Today's guest is Richard Procee. Most folk in Chilliwack know Richard for his many food-related businesses, and I guess Hofstede's Country Barn is the most recognizable. But Richard is also known for his philanthropic work with a number of community agencies and also as a Rotarian. Today, however, we're going to focus on his candidacy for the upcoming by-election for the Chilliwack School Board. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Clint. I kind of surprised that you guys didn't tell me about this. It was about the election. I thought you and I were going to do a little jam session there.
I do have a guitar in the car in case
I brought my drumsticks.
If you're wanting to do that, we could do that. Why don't you start, Richard, by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks. And I grew up in Ontario. I grew up in Southern Ontario, actually, and I graduated from McMaster University with a degree in English and a minor in history and philosophy. And then I worked through my university career, or my university education through roofing. I shingled houses. I looked around and thought, what could I do to make some money? And so I thought roofing houses looked pretty easy. That was not true, but it paid well, and so I did that when I got through school. And then I traveled to the East Coast. Then I traveled to the West Coast. I dipped my feet in the ocean on the East Coast in the Atlantic, and then I came out west, and then I came to Chilliwack to visit some family, and then I was soon immersed in this community, and I was soon immersed in working in the community. What I thought was a visit turned into my new home.
You know, your story isn't unusual. There's a whole lot of folks in Chilliwack that would have that same story. What's your connection? You're running for school board. What's your current connection to the school district? How did you, as a parent, I'm assuming, first become involved in the school district? What's your connection to the school district? Why are you taking a big step to want to get further involved?
That's an interesting question, and it's a good one, actually. My involvement with Chilliwack has always been one where, as I developed more and more of a relationship with the people of Chilliwack and the city of Chilliwack and the community of Chilliwack, and especially in particular through our business, I recognize that Chilliwack is one of those places which has so much to offer. There's so many things in Chilliwack that are just wonderful. I've often thought about, and maybe I'm going to go a little bit off here, but I just want to talk about when I look into Chilliwack and I see the trails, the trail programs, the trail systems, the tourisms, all the things that are so well representative of our community, the rivers, the lakes, oh, I'm sorry here, I'm just losing my track of thought. I'll relax a little bit here, but I'm thinking about the Arts Center, the hockey arenas, and all the sports facilities. Chilliwack's a beautiful place to be and a beautiful place to live. And I looked at that, and then I just started noticing a lot of things in the paper and community about our school board, and I thought, I think I can make a difference. I really do. I think I can make a difference for a school board, and I'll tell you why. Because I love bringing people together. I enjoy working with people. I think one of the things too is I see the end goal. What is the end goal? The end goal is I want to serve the community, but more than that is that I see what is the purpose of our school board? What is the goal of our school board? And one of the things that really struck me is that for our kids, the student achievement, we have the parent involvement, we get the teacher support, and we also have the community connection. And as I thought about it, I thought, can I make a difference? Can I be that bridge that brings together our school board and really focus on what matters? What is the end goal? The end goal is our students and their development. And
let me jump in and say, you're a parent, obviously. You've got a bunch of kids. What was
6 of them.
What was your experience with the school system as your kids went through? I'm not sure the ages of your kids, but I'm sure some of them may actually still be in the school system or of school age.
Yeah, no, sorry.
What's been your experience in terms of your connection with the school district?
Yeah, so we had 6 children. When we started our business, the commitment to our business was fairly extensive, and especially in the summertime, we had absolutely no time to spend with our kids on any form of holidays or going out. So when we first went to join in the school system, we didn't necessarily we didn't see ourselves as being a good fit in the daily activity. So we homeschooled, and we ended up taking our kids into work through the long distance education program. And then as they grew older and as our business became more successful, where we didn't have to put so much energy and time in, then and Tara got more involved with the business part of our store, then we put them into the school system.
So
we have one boy that's still in CSS.
So what was your experience with the system? What, at that point, as you were looking at it, what did you think was good about the system, and what were the things that sort of have laid dormant in you to at some point to say, you know, I'd like to step in and make these changes?
The school system was amazing. Like, there was nothing in our school. The Chilliwack schools were excellent. The teachers were professional. The teachers were supportive. Our children really enjoyed the academic excellence, the sports programs. There was nothing about our school system that I would say was not very well managed and well brought up. I think what really came to me is that when I seen the public system in our community, I think is very well organized. It's very well organized. It's very structured. It's very clean, and we have absolutely nothing negative to say about our school system.
So then let me ask this, that it's not a secret that the board has been a source of, I think some would say, embarrassment. That certainly is how many people feel. There's been a significant amount of conflict on the board over the last number of years. There are board meeting minutes I've read where they couldn't even get an agenda adopted. There seems to be so much acrimony on that board. What do you think you're going to bring to that table that is going to help that?
I think one of the best things that I bring to it, one of the things I think that I'm sort of stuttering here a bit, but one of the things I bring to the table, which I think is my strength, is I see the end goal. When I was in construction, and a lot of times I got brought on the projects that were struggling, and the reason why they brought me into a lot of these projects was because I knew what the end goal was. And so I came in there and I would take all the resources that were, and the people and the resources and all the things that were laid at my disposal, and I would bring them and focus on where are we going, what are we doing. Now, I understand that I'm not going to go into the school board and I'm going to be able to, fix everything. I'm not there to fix everything. I'm there actually to say, look, what is our focus? What is our end goal? As a school board, what are we trying to achieve? If we focus on the student achievement, teacher support, parents' involvement, you cannot lose when we're all working towards that goal. We can have different ideologies in certain areas. We can have certain areas we don't agree. But one thing we can't lose is, why are we there? And when you have a polarized, a zero-sum game in the school board, you lose the principle of the kids. You lose a principle of why you were there. And I think, because I see that so clearly, that I would always be, look guys, why are we here? This is where we're going. This is why we're doing what we're doing.
So let me get into I think a challenging issue for you, and I'm looking at this as a dispassionate observer and somebody who's been involved in politics and political campaigns. In the current Chilliwack School Board, there's a member of the school board whose resignation has been asked for by the board itself, by the Trustees Association, by the Teachers Federation, by the Minister of Education, and in fact, lots of other folks who've watched what's gone on and said, the behavior has crossed a line. We really need to be thinking about that person not being on the board. That person's actually come out and endorsed your candidacy. So that puts you in a very difficult position, because a lot of folks out there, and I think this is the source of a lot of that kind of backwards and forth or to and fro, or I think you've called it a zero-sum game, has given people the impression that you're the candidate for one side, not for the whole board, because of that endorsation. How does that sit with you?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know that I was endorsed. I didn't know I was endorsed, but so that's kind of a new thing for me. But I can't help who endorses me. Like, I can't help who endorses me. If somebody endorses me, I'm just going to say that's the way. Now, I did say one thing I did say though was that in a democratic process that I don't like mob mentality. I think everyone has due process of law. So if there's an issue in the school board, if there's an issue, that we have a justice system that would deal with that. And so I would encourage people to say, let the legal system deal with anything that needs to be dealt with. But at the end of the day, what we are there for as a school board is to promote the children's achievement and the teacher support and the parents' involvement. I don't know how, like, and I think this is the whole question. When we get into all these little side topics, we miss, again, what is the end game, where we're going. And so that's how I'm holding.
But I think, to be fair, one of the end games is the community has to have confidence in that board. Mm-hmm. The teachers have to have confidence in that board, and the parents in the district have to have confidence in that board. And I would contend that there's a serious lack of confidence at this point in time. And I'm not pointing at any one individual. However, there is that issue that's going on out there that tends to dominate a lot of the discussion about
well,
this. So.
Then you got to vote for me, Clint, because I'm a problem solver. That's exactly where I think my skills. I mean, I've been involved with a number of different boards, and I've been in boards where there's been some real tension, and I'm a fun guy to be. I'm a fun guy. I can't help it. I'm just starting to relax a little bit here, so I'll give you some moment. But I'm a fun guy. I enjoy people. I enjoy going to places where there's brokenness, and I enjoy watching healing happen. That's my passion. My passion. I just love people. I do. I can't help it. I go anywhere I go, and like, it's like our store. When I see somebody come in the door, I don't care who they are. I don't care where they're from. I just look at them as people, and I say, I just want to embrace them, hug them, and love them, and just give them a big kiss. Yeah. You know, if I shouldn't say that.
After COVID is over, we want you to be.
But my principle is that, and this is the principle that I'll always bring to the table, is that I am here for one purpose, and I'm here to see our community be proud of our schools, be proud of our board, be proud of the people that are on that. Put aside some of your personal involvements or what your personal things that you have, and let's get back to why are we here? You know, one of the things that I love about our business, like in our coffee shop, is I love the fact that I meet every single person from around the community in so many different ways. And what is it that I love about them? Is that we talk, we communicate, and we enjoy each other. There's a respect for the humanness of people. The respect for the people that we deal with are human. They're human. They're wonderful. There's so many wonderful people in our community. And I just think that a lot of the stuff that people talk about is sort of like, it's like, wow, man, like, let's get over that. Let's get over ourselves. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about my interest. It's the end of the day. It's always about our kids coming out of our school. Are they achieving well? Are they strengthened? Are they connected to the community? Are they enhancing the culture around them? Are they responsible? Are they coming out of there being community builders? And we have so many other areas where we can get sidetracked, but we miss the point of, if our kids don't win this game, we all lose.
So then let's look at the school board, its role in the community, and what it's there to do. What do you think is? Do you feel like that's the outcomes we're currently getting from our school system? The strategic plan is pretty clear in terms of what the board's priorities are. I think you would support them. Do you feel like the school board is doing a good job?
I think the school, the Chilliwack, like, you got to understand one thing, is that we have a depth in Chilliwack that is probably not that familiar. Like, there's a lot of places in Canada that don't have this kind of depth. Like, our community is very strong, and people come here, and they come here for a reason. It's because Chilliwack has got a strong, caring community, and So when I go out there, when I look at when our kids were involved and we were involved with minor hockey and we're involved with all these different, one thing that just I could never fathom is how many people volunteer, how many people work so hard for the betterment of the common good. And the more I seen that, and the more I discovered that, and as I just more matured into our community, I just felt, here we are in a beautiful place, probably the nicest place in the world. And we're going to miss teaching our kids. We're going to miss supporting our teachers. We're going to miss involving parents because we have an ideology or we want to split things. No, we got to stop that stuff. We got to right away go back. What are our priorities? Why are we there? And stick to it. I'll tell you something, Clint. If I'm voted in, I will definitely work for that goal. I want people to say, why are we here? Where are we going? And why are we doing what we're doing? And I'm very confident that those kind of thought processes need to be more and more involved in people's heads.
I hear exactly what you're saying. Do you believe that's not happening now on the board?
I believe that there is definitely certain ideologies that people have, and they're just sort of sticking to their ideologies and not looking at the end game. Yeah, I do.
Do you think that is on both sides of those ideologies?
Oh, absolutely. And then the nice thing is that it's quite fixable. Right? It's quite fixable. It really is. It's not that hard. Because when you know where you're going, like I always tell my kids, move your feet forward, but know where you're going. I learned that driving cars. I remember the best driver instructor I ever had, saved my life hundreds of times, I say. He said, Richard, you gotta know where you're going. Are you going forward? Are you seeing the end? Are you seeing as far as you can? And when you get that when you get that focus on that it's not about you and it's about the kids, you're there to serve. You're there to take this amazing, well-developed, like this is not something that just popped out of the sky. We have a school and education program. The more I read the School Act and the more I study these and especially the superintendent, what a wonderful person. Like what an amazing job these guys. I watch some of these school meetings and I'm just like, there is like the finance department, like the people that do budgets, like, I mean, they are smart. They're smart, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, what an infrastructure that we have. Let's get focused on that, and let's work on that goal. And I'll tell you something, it's only within a year, Clint. Within a year, that place will be running like a. Well, let's
talk about some very
with teamwork, of course.
Let's talk about some very specific issues that the school board is grappling with or has grappled with, and get your impressions of those things. Right now, the school board is embarked on a very ambitious new school that is called Imagine High, which is a marriage of technology and arts, and is a project that is being watched carefully all across Western Canada, in fact, probably even farther afield than that, for its innovation and its approach. What do you think about that concept of that school? And is it something, because I think there's a perception that it might be not exactly the old reading, writing, and arithmetic style of learning. It's something quite a bit newer than that. What do you think of that project?
Well, at the end of the day, if you don't know how to read, write, or arithmetic, you're not going to be able to build the school. You're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to write scripts. You're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to build anything. You couldn't even build a computer if you didn't know how to read, write, and arithmetic. So on that level, I think the basic common principle of any education system has to be foundational in reading, writing, and arithmetic. However, I think that what I like about that school, even though the name I thought was a bit of a verb, not a noun, but however, that's another argument. But what I liked about that school was that there's so many, the multidimensional nature of the human spirit. Like if you look at a person and you see, if you see there's more than just being able to write well, there's more to being able just to add 1 + 1 = 2. There's so many more things in life that offer us a flavor and joy and experience. And I think that speaks to it very well. I think the idea of having the arts program and getting people to that their strengths are in that area, I'm cool with that.
Well, I think it's an integration of arts and technology,
Yeah.
and you would agree that you don't go anywhere, you don't build a building unless you have an architect, whose fundamental foundation is in understanding art and its relation to its surroundings, and technology, which is how you build it. So I'm a fan of looking at that sort of combination of things, and I look forward to seeing that project go forward.
Look at video games, right? Like, I mean, video games, that's technology and art. Like, you want to talk about, you know, I mean, kids out there, they're better at it than I am, but I mean, I'm looking at some of these video games are so realistic. I'm like, wow, that's come a long way since Pac-Man.
Well, and you'll probably...
You're right. So that's where, you know, the mosaic of any culture, the mosaic of any community, it's got to be more than just potatoes.
Well, and I think if I'm going to editorialize a little bit here, education is so much different today than it was when I went to school, and I'm a little older than you, so but I know
not much, Clint.
I know that it's changed a lot from when you went to school. And I was thinking of this the other day. I was trying to think of a fact that I learned in school that I use every day. And there's precious few of them, but what I learned in school was how to learn, was to appreciate knowledge, was to appreciate and get along with the folks that were in my classroom, regardless of who they were. We had to find a way to make that class into a team and move forward. And so those were the lessons I learned, and I'm pleased to see that we're moving more forward into understanding that school is a place where you learn about learning, not necessarily where you just learn things. And I think the school board is doing a really good job with that. Here's some other issues that have come up, and I'd like to get your feeling on them. I think it will give people who are trying to decide who to vote for maybe a perspective of how you think. Quite recently, the school board was involved in a decision about pipelines on their school, and the board had quite a debate about whether or not they should involve themselves in supporting or not supporting pipeline right-of-ways through school grounds. Where would you sit on that particular issue?
Well, I guess it depends, right? Because if you're going to be a welder, if you're coming out of school and you're going to work with UFV and become a welder, you might not be so happy about that if they cancel it. And if you're a person that believes in electric cars, you're probably going to say, you know what, it's good, right? So you're going to have the diversity there, right? So that level there, yeah. No, I think schools need to be, I would say, focus on the knowledge, focus on, you know, like talk about pipelines if that's what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about how they're made and what they do and are they safer or not safer. I think those are conversations that go all over the place. And I think it's good to have that. I think any school, if you can't exchange free ideas, that you're probably missing the whole point of education. But I would never take a stand on it.
But the board was asked to take a stand on it. The board said you have to make a decision.
I don't think that's in the realm of the board to make a stand on something. Like now you're getting into more value judgment with that. I would never take a stand on that. I would just say, you know what, that's not our mandate. Our mandate is not to start talking about whether electric cars are better than, are more efficient than, you know, gasoline cars, or obviously they are. I mean, who knows? I mean, we can go on that conversation forever. But I think the key issue is, you know, like, give the kids the ability to think. Like, if you want to talk about that, if the pipeline's part of the discussion, absolutely. You know, you want to talk about why it's good or bad, good. But don't forget, you're there. The school is designed to academically prepare, and also to prepare the kids to think, to learn, to read, to write, to go out and be functional in the community they live in or the community they move to. I
think I may have not asked the question, and I want to go back, because at the board table, the board, of course, the pipeline that comes through Chilliwack passes through a number of school properties. And although it's a registered right-of-way and the company has the right to work on those rights-of-way, the board was asked to pass a motion that said we don't want any work on that pipeline or expansion of that pipeline through school properties. And it became quite a contentious issue at the board. I think in the end they said we're going to approve a letter that says we don't like it going through our school properties, but they didn't pass a motion to not approve of pipelines in general. I'm just wondering where you would have been. You're sitting at the board table. You don't get to say, this isn't an issue I think we should talk about. You have to actually make a decision and say, am I going to support a letter that goes forward saying we shouldn't have those pipelines through our school sites, or am I going to say, yes, I think we should pass that motion?
I mean, ultimately, you would like, you know, you always want your school areas to be safe.
Yeah.
You don't want a pipeline sticking out there where people can turn a tap and, have a barbecue. So, but I mean, on the same token, if there's a covenant in place and there's a legal covenant in place, I mean, the law is what rules the day, not my opinion.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, I would never take a stand on something that was just not my place, first of all, to make. But I mean, obviously, if there was going to be construction and there was going to be dangerous situations or whatever, obviously you'd have to look at that, very carefully. But I wouldn't make a comment on it right now on that one. I honestly, Clint, I just wouldn't really be able to say yes or no on that because I don't know all the particulars that would be involved in that. Sorry.
Another issue that came up that was similar, downtown Chilliwack, there's a project called the Portal. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
I'm familiar with the Portal.
It's a project that supports homeless folks on the street and provides a warming center in the wintertime and some, I think, overnight beds and that sort of thing. It became the subject of concern by people in that area, expressing that there were a lot of school kids close by and that it probably or may not have been a good fit. That issue came to the board, and the board, in the end, the board resolved to say we're not going to send a letter of support or opposition to that. We see the value in the project, but we don't want to be standing and opposed for that reason. But we also don't want to support it because we understand. Where would you be on that particular issue? Because I suspect it's going to continue to be an issue on the board.
A good question, actually. I think that's a really good question because I think it addresses a bunch of different things. So first of all, why is the portal there? Why is the portal there? Well, the portal is there because we've got a problem. We've got a problem of homelessness. We've got a problem of drug addictions. We've got a problem of people on the street that have no place to go. So we've got a real visual issue there. So I always looked at the portal and I said, look, I know that when I was asked, what do you think about it? I said, the portal's there for a purpose. It's probably not in the best place. But let's be patient. Let's be patient. Let's be patient. Let's work with people and say, okay, it's here right now because it's the only opportunity that we have to deal with some of this crisis that we're dealing with. So, but I know that the city of Chilliwack and a few other members are trying to find a place that is in a different location, that's in a little further removed from the school system and that. So sometimes, you know what, guys, you're not going to always get what you want. But if we're patient and we just talk about it and say, look, guys, this is not an ideal situation, but it's a situation we've got to deal with right now. Can we just work together for a year or 2 years and then find another solution to this problem? But on another note, so that's my first way on the portal. But on another note, I think it addresses what I think is a critical issue. And I'm not sure how exactly to deal with it, because don't forget, I realize as a school trustee, I am not king. I am a school trustee. I'm in a team of other people. Like I absolutely see the value of a number of people in anything, because at the end of the day, if I look at our own business. If it wasn't for the smart people that have helped me and developed our business, I would be still roofing. Like that's just, and I'm not criticizing roofers here, but you know what I'm saying? Like I just really sense that the important. But you know what I thought? When I saw the whole portal, when I saw the brokenness in the downtown area and what really struck me then, I thought, is there a way from a school in the school system that we can identify? Because I know trauma is real. I know there's kids out there that have real issues and that have real trauma issues. Every day they deal with trauma. Is there a way that we can help these kids earlier? Can we address them in the school system just a little bit earlier? I'm not saying that I have the magical answer. I don't think I have an answer. But can we, at an age, and I know teachers are busy and they've got a lot to do, and I'm trying to be fair with them on that, but can we maybe isolate or say, there's a person that's struggling with a lot of trauma. Can we guide them through the school, use our school system to guide them through and teach them the value of a productive life? That you will know yourself and you will be, even though it may be hard at times, but living a productive life, and no matter what it is, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in shaping culture, whether it's in building things with your hands, whether it's in any form that you have, if you can get kids to experience the joy of building and creating and being productive, it gives such a sense of satisfaction, because we're competing against the world of drugs, alcohol, and it's a lot easier to take those. And if they're on the street for 3 months, you've lost them. Can we take those people, can we work with these children at an earlier age and bring them so that they can see that there's value in being a whole person in a whole community? And Chilliwack, I think, is trying to do that. I think even the portal, the principle of the portal is based on good premises. It's just that there's lots of stuff that hankers around and there becomes a bit of a problem.
Well, certainly what you're talking about is early start programs and Head Start programs in schools where kids that are challenged early on can get the support they need early on. And there are a number of great programs in Chilliwack, and I'm delighted to hear you supportive of those, because I think personally, in my experience, that's the way to go. An ounce of prevention is still worth a pound of cure, and what we can do to deal with trauma in kids early. We can deal with poverty in kids. We can deal with hunger in kids. And believe me, we have all of those things in abundance in our community. The better off we're going to be. Look, we're going to take a quick break. I want to thank Richard for being here. We'll be back in just a second, and we'll have a few more questions for Richard Procee, a candidate for the school board election. Welcome back, everyone. My guest is Richard Procee, who's running in the upcoming by-election for Chilliwack School Board. Richard, we've talked about so many different things, and I know there's one thing that I would hate myself if I didn't ask, because you probably know it's been a part of my life. How do you feel about the job that's being done in including students of all abilities in school? Is that something that's important to you? Is it a program you think is going well in Chilliwack?
Well, I think I think the whole inclusivity, like with those, is amazing thing. My sister was mentally challenged, and so we went through that whole process as a family to discover. Like, I remember when they first were bringing her into the system and to the school, we were like, oh, what are they doing? Because we always kept, she was always kind of kept apart. But that was probably the best thing, and it was interesting in two ways. Because first of all, it was good for my sister Bonita. Bonita excelled in that environment. And it was good for the people that were part of the student class, because the students were all of a sudden they were exposed to this real person that had real needs, and they had this real, and it was amazing how many people were just gravitated towards her, and it were extremely a joy. It became a really great opportunity for everybody to learn.
And I think certainly anytime you build diversity in a classroom, you build an appreciation for that diversity.
Absolutely.
And so as long as the environments that we're creating as we become more inclusive are safe and nurturing and welcoming, I think it benefits everyone. The last question I have, and we're going to go a little bit over time, and that's okay. Last question I have is about COVID response. One of the things I hear from lots of different folks is a concern about COVID, of course, in schools, and the fact that they're open, and are kids safe, and are we doing a good job? What's your assessment of how Chilliwack is doing in that area? You think there's anything else that ought to be done?
Well, COVID's, you have to navigate through that. I've always taken the approach of, we've got people that are specialists in that field. Let's trust them. I go to the Fraser Health, and I go to the doctors. What do they say? What does their Dr. Henry say? And what does Fraser Health say? And if they give us the guidelines, I'd say follow those guidelines, because otherwise you have a plethora of ideas out there, and everybody's got their opinion, and at the end of the day, nobody wins. Just follow the health rules, follow the health guidelines, and then just be consistent with that. And I don't think I think we're just perfectly fine.
Yeah, it seems we're trending in the right direction now. We need everyone to make sure they're following the guidelines, as Richard has said. I want to thank my guest today, Richard, very much for being here. Tomorrow night, of course, you can see Richard and all the other candidates on a forum that we're hosting, an all candidates forum, which we're going to be doing. It will be done following all of those guidelines to make sure we keep everybody safe, and we hope that you will tune in.
Thanks, Clint.